Well, my name is Siam Dolo. Thank you so much for coming through. And to those who are coming for the first time, please remember to subscribe. So today I decided that before I carry on with the whole segment on narcissistic abuse, I should take this time to basically tell my story, like my own experience with narcissistic abuse, and tell it in full, because I felt that this will help in terms of just making reference to the story when I am going on with, the lessons on, everything that goes on in a narcissistic abuse relationship. Because I feel like it doesn't make much sense when I say, oh, by the way, this and this happened to me, and there is no full story. So I feel like it's better if I give a full story first, and then when I make reference to certain things, then it's easy for a person to just go back to this video and watch the whole story. Full disclaimer, I am fully healed, I'd like to believe, from the experience that I went through. Yes, the trauma is still there, like I still have some trauma responses because of what I went through, but for most part I am totally, completely healed. So if maybe I laugh about certain things or whatever, it's not because I maybe make light of, this abuse, not at all. But I'm just that kind of a person that when I'm over something, I then eventually find it funny. And also, humor is basically my coping mechanism. Sometimes when I'm nervous or when I feel like something is too much, then I'll probably laugh. So it won't be because I'm taking things light. Okay, so let's get into it. So in October 2019, I was hooked up with this pastor guy from Mpumalanga, Nelspruit, and so we were basically hooked up in my comments by a common friend, and we ended up chatting on inbox, and everything was going well. I mean, it was those dream come true situations, when you meet a guy that basically just ticks all the boxes. So he was that guy that, at face value, he ticked all the boxes. And so we started talking. Like we spoke literally all day, every day. Like we talked about everything. He seemed to be the kind of person that was interested, deeply interested in everything that was going on in my life. And I had just released my book, which is a memoir. That means it has my story. And so I also thought it was a good idea, because he asked for the book, and I thought it was a good idea to send him the book, because then it gives him, background information on me. And I remember I used to say, before I even finished writing the book, I used to say, well, I hope that I meet the person I'm going to date when I already have the book out, so that I can just give him the book, and then he will read about me, and then he will decide if he still wants me. So I guess that was the idea. So like any couple, obviously we would talk a lot about where he comes from. He's a divorcee, he's got 3 children, and I would tell him where I come from, my past traumas, all of that. And this is something that should maybe be normal in any relationship, except in my case, I didn't know that these are the kind of things that we're gonna be used against me later. Nor did I know that some of the things that were happening as he was telling me about himself were actually red flags. So, for instance, in the stage, he told me about his ex-wife, like how ungrateful of a biatch she was, and how she didn't want him to see the kids, just overall how bad a person she was. And you feel sorry for your man, like, this good man, such a good man, what's wrong with these women out there? Like, what do they want? Because I mean, this guy is a good guy, so evidently this woman is wicked, because this guy is a good guy. I mean, who does that to this good guy, So told me about the ex and her not wanting him to see the children. I remember him sending me a screenshot of a conversation that they were having, because he wanted to go to Eastern Cape with me for December. This would have been like 2 months into it, or just maybe 6 weeks into our dating. So he wanted to go to Eastern Cape with me, and I was cool with it. I mean, dinomtu, so why not? So he wanted to come with the kids, which I felt it was a bit too soon to involve the children, because I've got children and I know that I do not like to just involve my children in situations, because should this situation not last, then it's a problem. So I remember feeling like, no, this is, but anyways, he sends me this screenshot where this woman says, so you want to go with the kids, and so what are they gonna wear, and something along the lines of, you could tell as a woman that this is the kind of thing a woman would say only if the father is not financially involved. But this person is convincing you that this woman is just crazy. I mean, he does everything for his children and whatnot. So you're like, okay. And I remember one of the things in this stage, getting to know each other stage, was that he said about the woman that one of the problems that they had, of course I'm not gonna get into the details of things that he told me, obviously out of respect, for the other woman, so so he would say things like, oh, this woman, their problem started way back in 2012. They divorced like a year before we met. So if we met in 2019, that means their divorce was finalized in 2018. Because I know it was just a year, which I felt was too soon. But I mean, people take different times to heal. So, it's okay. Anyways, so he said something about Uguti ngo 2012 for Losisi had said something to him, this and this and this, and had treated him in some type of way and whatnot and whatnot. And I remember saying to him, so from 2012 to the time you guys got divorced, you had not forgiven this person. And for me, that was a real red flag. Like, for me, there is nothing that scares me like unforgiveness, like unforgiving people, because I always feel like if you are an unforgiving person, then you have a very wicked heart. Like you have a very, very wicked heart. It's one thing to still struggle with healing, but knowing that I got over the situation. And also, you cannot stay in a relationship with a person that you are holding grudge towards, for years. So I remember saying to him, Uguti, so in all these years, you had not forgiven this person. And I think he realized that was a red flag. So I was like, no, I forgave her, but this. I was like, But anyways, the relationship continues. I'm overwhelmed by this huge amount of love, to a point where when I sit down now and genuinely, honestly think about it, I never even got a chance to love that guy. Like, where, how we girls feel in relationships, we would probably be the first to get butterflies and, all those things. I don't remember having any of those things, because I was just overwhelmed by everything. Guy would send me money on some, because I'm not there, go and buy yourself dinner, wara, and then tomorrow again you send me money for something else. It wasn't huge amounts. 700 here, 1,000 rands there, in that month. And then I'm like, child, nagum utixo uzikhilile, because sana kunini ndikhala kwabanye abantwana kusithiwa kuyabhejwa, mna andiyazi le nto kuke kuthiwe nje angozithengela idina ntontontontonton. So it was those things. I got sent a phone. We still haven't met, by the way. We're still just dating online. Got sent a phone, and I was really grateful. But just a note on this phone thing, which was also a red flag for me, is that but when I say red flag, in my case, I don't mean red flag as to of abuse. It was just that thing that makes you feel, this guy, So he sent the phone. Before he sent the phone, he said, oh yeah, I got you the phone, and so I'm gonna activate it for you, which I found weird because I'm not a child. Like, I can activate my own phone. I'm gonna activate it for you, wada wada wada. So then because it was a contract phone, he didn't give me the SIM card, which I found weird because, I mean, if you're buying me a contract phone, then give me everything, child. So then he was like, no, in case then you exceed the limit of minutes, and then I'm gonna pay more, whatever. I'm like, I don't do a lot of calling, whatever, but 3 minutes would help because I work a lot with my phone. 3 minutes would help, but I don't think I would exceed that, amount of 3 minutes. And so he didn't send the SIM card, and then he didn't send my earphones. No, that one really upset me because, like, just one thing about me, I people that are close to me, like, or even my family know, I think maybe I'm a typical Virgo, if you would. Like, I'm very possessive about my stuff. Like, if yam, like whatever. Like, I'm a very generous person, whatever, but I like it when people respect my boundaries. Like, it's mine. Like, why would you take my earphones? So I was that petty again, not to ask for the earphones, and then that started a fight. Like, anyuka pa, like, and I found it weird because, like, okay, I'm being petty, like fighting for my earphones, but why are you screaming at me? Guys started screaming at me, and I think this was now a real red flag. This, for me, made me feel very uncomfortable. But after such fights, then when a person apologizes, then you're like, okay, maybe, he's still, dealing with the trauma of, his divorce and whatnot. Because he said, like, really ugly things. I mean, for such a small fight, and for someone to just, burst like that. And I remember him saying something like, yeah, you are a very wicked person. That's why your child is always crying. I mean, like, really? And by my child always crying, what he means is that Unana, like my last born, likes crying. Like, she really, really likes. Like, she will cry for anything. Like, she will cry for anything. I remember one of the times when she was crying. Obviously, we're always on the phone, like, literally always on the phone. So he's gonna hear everything that happens in this house. So I remember this one time Unana was crying because he had sent me money and said I must give some of the money to them, and she had had that conversation. So now she was crying for that money, but now it was used as an insult to me, like, yeah, that's why your child is always crying. I'm like, this fight is very small for such, big talks and whatnot. Okay, fine. After that, he apologizes. No, I'm sorry, wada. I think really, maybe I'm not exactly healed. Maybe I'm always scared that you are also going to turn out to be like my ex-wife, wada. And you buy that, you buy that story, you buy that story. It's like, it makes sense. I mean, he's still traumatized, and we deal with trauma differently, which shouldn't happen, by the way. We should never have to make excuses for such behavior. But anyways, so fine, relationship continues. And then uzofika in that November. So we're gonna be seeing each other for the first time a month later. Uputi came, we went for dinner, brought me flowers. And I've already told him, mna, I like flowers, I like chocolate, I like ntontoni, which is what I was saying in the other video, that as girls we should learn to just allow people to learn us without us blabbing about everything, because when you give that info, then it's easy for that person to fake it. It's better for you to know who your person is and what they're about, if they're not romantic, whatever, so that they don't fake anything. Anyways, brothers brought me the flowers, chocolates, we had a great dinner. And then following day again, like literally the next day, he's seeing me again. I'm getting flowers and chocolates again. And it's now getting weird because, I mean, like, it's a lot. It's too much. Like, I'm not trying to start a nursery in my house. Like, honestly, the ones that you gave me are still as fresh as ever. So I don't understand. But anyways, when you are being love bombed, like everything is too much, it's a lot, and most kuza, you say, maybe because I'm angisajwayelanga, and you think about, like, for instance, I have this one person in my life that I know, which was a very romantic person, and we had a great start to our relationship. In fact, we had a great relationship even when we were having problems. Like, our relationship was still great. And so it's not a case of Guti, I didn't understand romance. Like, I had been with romantic people, this one in particular, where, I mean, he had done all those things and they had never overwhelmed me. So to some degree, your gut feeling will always tell you that there's something weird about this. But anyways, at that moment, like, you are completely love bombed. So you are just going with the flow and in it. So on the first date now, he told me that we have to meet his parents because we had already been talking marriage. But this marriage talk that, I mean, we do talk marriage with guys. Like, andithi xa nikhathana kumnandi mos uba hey wena uzaba ngumfazi odlamini wena, hey wena ntontoni, zezaa talks zimnandi mos ezo. So akho nto ingxaki, like siyaqhathana, nature of relationships. So you're not thinking ba umntu serious, on that level, especially because this is still so new for it to really be leading to marriage so fast. So for someone now to say to the following day after your very, very first date, you must meet the parents, then it's getting like kind of weird. But I agreed anyways. As uncomfortable as I was about it, I ended up agreeing. So following day we went to meet the parents, and he told the parents that this is the woman I'm going to marry, and therefore you guys in June, which is June of 2020, because I had not agreed to anything sooner. He wanted, I mean, if it was up to him, I'm sure we're going to get married in January. So like I mentioned in the previous video that one of the things that I found weird before we even met for the first date is that randomly, I think second week of talking, randomly, I don't know what we're talking about, but where finances are concerned, which is, there's nothing wrong, I mean, talking finances with a person, but even there, like, there would be limits, you can't maybe, ask a person, ba uhola malini ke wena ke, or zithini bills, zithini credit score yakho, whatever, like you pace things. So but for some reason randomly he sent me his invoices that were amounting to about 200 and something thousand. So with that, he was gonna buy me a car, he was gonna lobola me, and then we were gonna go for our honeymoon in Zanzibar. That's because I had said I was planning to save up and go to Zanzibar just for vacation for myself. So it's like, no, you can you can put that on hold, we can always just go for our honeymoon, wara. So fine. So now he tells the parents, it was his mom and his brothers, so he tells them that we've already agreed on a date, which is in June. So yes, I did, by the way, end up settling for June. I felt that, okay, that was reasonable enough, because then that would have given us enough time to at least go for premarital counseling, which was very important for me. And even the couple that I suggested for our premarital counseling, he was very much for it. He also loves, like, this guys loved everything, literally everything that I loved, he loved. Everything I hated, he hated. I mean, even my ratchet music, I hardly ever meet guys that love my ratchet music, but he loved my ratchet music. He loved everything about me. Like, I'm the woman he's been dreaming of. Everything, my body size, my ratchetness, the fact that, I'm this ratchet mamfundisi is exactly what attracted him to me. By the way, he's been following me on my social media since Boma 2012 labo. So it's been years that he's been following me, so he knows me very well. There was even a time when Mina, I potled him and he even narrated the story. And now that I think about it, after everything, I'm like, like, when we went to check that post, like when we went to search for that post, like, it was literally as he mentioned it, like the words he quoted me verbatim, like, this is what you said. Anyways, so met the family, everything was fine. Like, the families is okay. His mom is a great mother. We were cool. Like, things were okay. And then, fine, I left. And then he went back. So after our second date, okay, by the way, okay, before he goes back, in these 2 times that we met, like on those days that we met, I'm not sure if it was 2 times or 3 or 4 in those days that he was around. What I do know is that we spent 2 nights together. We spent 2 nights together. We were both celibate and very much committed to our celibacy. So in those 2 nights, no sex happened. Instead, what happened is that I don't know, for some reason, okay, I'm the type of person that I want to understand like where we stand with phones and whatnot, because I don't believe in the whole secrecy around phones in a relationship. This doesn't mean I don't believe in privacy, but for me, privacy doesn't mean secrecy. So that means I wouldn't just like go through your phone, but at the same time, you shouldn't jump when I need your phone maybe to do something or whatever. So I think in a quest to try and prove his like greatness and how great a man he is and whatnot, he gave me his messenger. He gave me his phone to check his messenger. The next thing, I don't know if he had forgotten to delete, maybe he thought he had deleted. The next thing, I'm seeing a couple of messages between him and girls. These messages are a bit saucy, like they're a bit uncomfortable for someone that's celibate, for someone that is like very much celibate. And the worst one that for me was a real one, like where I was like, but maybe we really need to rethink everything, because like, who are you? Is one that was saying, okay, this girl had sent him nudes. Hey, vagina, not just nudes, like vagina, ikuku, whatever. Hey, inkomo. I'm telling common fundis. So, phofu uzigqonda banyani shem kumfundisi wabantu, like you could see ukuthi it's one of those googled ones. You could see which is one of those googled ones, those ones that are really like smooth, like clean, like the Google one. Anyway, so I'm seeing this vagina, and the next thing umfundisi respondile ba, yo, I can't wait to taste that big. I'm going to quote him. I am definitely going to quote him. I can't wait to taste that big fat pussy. So the reason why I'm quoting him is because the mfundisi that I know that I'm dating is very different to this guy that's commenting on this nude, because like even the kind of language that he is using, that's very deep language for the person that I thought that he was. So for me, this was very weird. Like big fat pussy, that's like great. That's language of people who watch porn. That's language of people like who are for the streets. And I know this guy is not for the streets. I mean, he's been Mzarani all his life. He's been to Bible school. A Bible school sana abana motu ye big fat pussy. Uyazela pile yo language. So I was like, Abuti, aikwazi kaloku, we need to rethink this. Akazange andikhalele umfundisi eguqe ngamadolo engce. For now that I think about it, yazi ndinayo like yes actors zabefundisi. Azange andikhalele umfundisi eguqe ngamadolo endicenga, please, this was a mistake, sometimes we have weaknesses, and now here's the thing about me, guys. I have no problem with people's weaknesses. Like, I have no problem meeting a pastor guy who says, you know what, Sissy Mina, I love me some big fat pussy. Like, it's your truth. We understand that you can be a pastor, but that's your truth. At least let me know your truth. Don't come at me like when you are this, wonderful man of God. We understand that. So there is my difference. I have absolutely no qualms with people's weaknesses. But now, because I'm this empath that I am, I'm also very understanding and forgiving. So when someone apologizes and then they explain themselves, then I'm like, okay, I mean, mistakes do happen. So really, guys, like, mfundisi naye ebefikelwe nje engumzuzwana wobuthakathaka, you know, these daughters of the Most High be out here tempting our men, you know. Excuse me. So I'm like, hi Shem, ndamxolela umuntu wami because ke ibi moment of weakness. So akhonto yani ndimxolele. Okay, then sohlukane. Then he goes back to Mpumalanga. The relationship is still okay. And then now we start again having clashes. I remember one of the clashes, and the clashes now that we're starting to have are clashes of me calling him out on something. So it's no longer just clashes of maybe me being petty or whatever. It's clashes that don't necessarily have to do with us, the two of us. Like, I'll make an example. One of the clashes where he burst out in anger again was when he told me that, so the guy calls me fuming, hey, you can't believe what this woman did, the ex-wife. What did she do? No, she moved places and she didn't even tell me. So me being a single parent myself, more so to two baby daddies, like, I don't imagine myself having to call these guys every time I move. Like, okay, guy, I've moved. Like, if you want to see your child, call me. Then I'll tell you where I stay. Yeah, but so Nake also being, you know, that woman that, you know, standing for the rights of women. I'm here standing for the rights of my sister on some, but I don't see anything wrong. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong because, I mean, you were going to call and then she was going to tell you, but I don't think she should because now she's your ex. She's just your baby mama. So I don't see why she should report to you every time she moves. Of course, you would come up with stories like, yeah, but I still pay for this and that. The only reason why she was staying in that place where she was staying, she said she needed security for the kids. Now she's moved to the township. That's unsafe for my kids. So he would come up with something that's going to make it like, oh, now it makes sense why he's reacting like that. But I was thinking, but that's no reason for you to fume like that because, okay, whatever your concerns, you can always just talk to me about those concerns or talk to her about those concerns without you like being this person who is like, you know, your life is crumbling and all of that. So even there, like, he was screaming that, I mean, I'm never on his side, wada. I was just like, I really don't see anything wrong here. I really just think you should respect people's boundaries. Anyways, and then another one also before, these are the ones that I remember. So I'm just going to quote the ones that I remember. And that shook me, like, because it was like, it would be a huge outburst that doesn't match the offense, like whereby I offended him by saying no, but I don't think the girl is wrong, and then he would just burst in anger, and then he would start screaming, and you know, all of that. And guys, I think it's very important that I state that from my research, I believe that this is a covert narcissist. And the thing about covert narcissists is that they present as I'm going to do a specific video on just covert narcissists because I feel it's important for people to note this, because when people think narcissists, they always think the grandiose ones, the in-your-face ones. This one is the one that they say vulnerable narcissist. They present as very quiet, humble, timid, this. So I can bet you now, when I tell you, if you know this guy and I tell you that he would scream, and listen to me how I talk now, like, I'm loud. So I'm the one who would be expected to scream. So chances are I'm lying because, I mean, there is no way that this is the person screaming as opposed to this one, you know. And that's another thing. They target their victims very well so that they would be more believable. And I mean, again, I think that's another reason why I avoid peopling a lot, because I know that I have a lot of mouth naturally. So I know if there were to ever be a problem between you and I, chances are I'm the guilty one, because if someone comes now to intervene in this problem. I'm gonna be here on some we are lo, this is what happened, and yes and so who looks like the crazy one in that, who looks like the violent one or the whatever. So it's like I just know like, you know, this one is just always the guilty one. But anyways, so he was that kind of person that you would never expect. Like, it was shocking for me when I would, you know, when you date a guy that's loud or whatever, maybe when they raise their voice, it wouldn't be shocking because, like, he's already loud. But now this is a person that I've known to be this quiet, you know, soft-spoken, whatever, hardly ever talks. Even on his social media, all he ever talks about is just, you know, church things, this, like a real noble mzalwane. So when he screams now, for me it becomes a shocker, like that difference between the angel that I know and the screamer and all of that. So he would scream, and then I remember the other one was because we were planning to go to Eastern Cape for December. Okay, the guy had told me that he has a car, a Volvo car, that was not okay. So whenever he would come here in Joburg from Mpumalanga, he would use public transport, in that saying the Volvo is not okay enough for him to drive it here. So now, because we're planning to go to Eastern Cape, of course we're gonna need transport to drive down. So then he is like, no, I'm gonna ask my sister, because my sister just bought a car, and then I'm gonna ask for the, you know, the old car. And then cool, now he asked the sister for the car, and then the sister is like, you know me, I'm not comfortable about, you know, giving out izinto zami and stuff. So he calls me again, fuming, screaming, the sister is this, after everything he did for them. He's the one who took them to school, he's the one who did that. Now that she is this big shot, now making money, she can't even borrow him a car. And now me, again, woman power, woman standing for my sisters, but also just being the voice of reason, and also caring about you, Guti. Like, I don't like seeing you, like, just, you know, like, I will not ruin my mood for into engana that I can do without. Like, it's not mine. So that's the first thing I'm going to tell myself. So again, bringing them this voice of reason, but Buti, like, I think ukuthi urai to sister wako in that she was honest. At least, you know, some people, they will give you a run around until they inconvenience you. So when at least she was honest to say, Buti, that's just not her vibe. Yeah, but wada. Yeah, you see again, you always stand for other people, stand for everybody else except for me. You never stand up for me. You never back me up. But, like, I'm not gonna back up BS, not just because I'm like, the truth is the truth for me. Like, that's just about it. So I was screaming again in the 999. So Guchuguti, from that, now, yo, that one was huge. I remember, I think it's the one that led to him insulting me all the way, because now he's adding other things to other things. This, the way I'm this, I am that. Even on my Facebook, I talk too much. Which is not a lie. So even on my Facebook, I talk too much. Yeah, this. That's why really people on my Facebook are always insulting me. Wada. Hey, lo puti one insulted all the way from here to Mpumalanga, and see him chat with me. And ndicwaliselo. Ndiyakhala ke mna ke nje mandidwebe kangakanje. Asezingixakile ndakhala all the way from up at Joburg ke to Mpumalanga eWitbank, ndafika the night before umtshato wetshomi yam mna ndidumbise amehlo. I had to go to sleep. I couldn't even help out. Following day, the day of the wedding, in the morning, okay, of course, texts and calls apologizing, he is so sorry. And he had a tendency of, every time he had done something like that, he would apologize by also sending me wedding venues. Hey, kama kuthiwa umtshato ndiyawuthanda. Xa uthiwa uthanda gqitha umtshato ndizakuxolisa ngomtshato lo uthandayo, idami yami yayingumtshato ke sana. So uzawundisendela ke pictures, the wedding venues, and he would commit again to how much he still wants to marry me. He's solid in his decision, like he's never seen any other woman like me. Wara 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 wara. So anyways, well, I forgive him again, and then I forgave him again, and then obviously we continued having our relationship again. I came back to Joburg, and then the relationship carried on, and then he was now going to come for Christmas. So then he proposes that we go and spend Christmas with his family. And again, I'm not comfortable, because worse this time, I think after that fight, that Mpumalanga one, it was so, the things that he had said were so terrible and so horrible. His behavior was so bad that it was scary for me. It was starting to be like, no, I'm not sure if I still want to do this. You know, when you start now having that thing of, I'm not sure if I still want to do this. And so there was a bit of a tension, even though he was trying. So even this whole idea of spending Christmas with his family, when I know that we are not even exactly fine, like, was just something else for me. Because when this happened, I remember it was the 21st or 22nd, between those 2 days, my friend's wedding. So the Christmas was like 3 days later. I think he was coming in a day before Christmas or something like that. So anyways, I ended up agreeing. There were other things now. There were other issues, like money. Money was no longer coming together for the Eastern Cape trip. He had promised to buy Christmas clothes for the kids. None of that was coming. Like, nothing was coming, like, forthcoming now financially anymore. But I'm fine. Like, I mean, I'm that girl. I'm not here for money, you know. I'm here for the love. So why? It's not a problem. So, okay, so he comes through, then we go spend Christmas with his family. That's the most horrible Christmas I've ever had in my life. Guys, that Christmas was horrible. So I think from the fight they had with the sister, I think the sister told the other sisters, and then, you know, they grouped together against him. So they were not talking to him, or apparently... This, according to him, he called the meeting when he came, and then he told them izindaba zabo for what, I don't know. So now we get there. The mamazala is there, and the boys are there. The boys are the ones engaging us. The girls, Sana, are keeping to themselves in the bedroom. They are not talking to me. They are not even greeting me. Like, good tense nje apha, good tense, like good tricky, good how, because the Sana and yes into enjoying Christmas. Even the food is cold. Like, horror, guys, horror. My kids were traumatized. My kids were like, yo, we've never seen such a bad Christmas. Like, everything there was just tense. Like, it was that tense, guys, like that tense. We're trying, to do things like, you know, Mama Zala and I, like, we're now close. Like, you know, I remember massaging her feet. And I remember, after the first time I met the Mama Zala, he told me that the mother told him that, you know, that's a very good woman. I can see lo mntana ukuthi uzithandela uNkulunkulu inanani, ungadlali ngomntana abantu inanani, ungamhethi lo mntana, you show your healed. But the things that he was saying, the mom said, were very worrying for me, because for a mother to speak like that, she must know something. So for me, it communicated a level of the mother may believe that he has not healed yet. But anyways, life goes on. He convinces me that he's healed, so why does it matter? So anyway, we spent the cold Christmas there, and then he walked us back to our taxis, and then we went back home. And then he was going to spend December with his family and leave January, the time people leave. But if not the following day, then he calls me telling me that, you know, the situation here has become so much tense that people here are buying themselves food, they're not buying me in nan, like he was this capsule yena in that just because he doesn't have money, wara. So now he's trying to collect money to leave, to go back to Bumalanga. But now he's not gonna go back to Nelspruit where he stays. He's gonna go back to some village where his relatives are, because he can't now go back there because that's where his church is. He's already told Amachament about uya hamba and whatnot, which is another thing that was for me like somehow, I mean, if I leave Joburg and I've already, like, I go home and I want to come back and I've already told people here in Joburg that I'm going to be home till January, it's not their business if I come back. I'll still tell them, oh, I decided to come back early, whatever. So, but you know, when you are guilty of something, you will think, people maybe can see through that or whatever. I don't know what his problem was. But anyways, he could not go back. He could go to some village, to some relatives. And yeah, so I think I'm going to end this part 1 here, and then the part 2, then I'm gonna start talking about, because I think from that village where he was with his family, it's when I started feeling a real change in the relationship, and things got really tense and really hectic and quite abusive. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming through. Please remember to subscribe, comment, share, like the video, and yeah, let's be engaging. And I hope you maybe take something away from my story, and you can also share your own stories of narcissistic abuse. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Bye.